All right. Today is April 11th, 2021. This is episode 144 of Maelstrom Radio.
Maelstrom Radio.
Press start.
With your hosts, Flatus and Shinter.
Oh, damn!
And welcome, everyone, to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Flatus, aka Peter, really depending on how you're feeling that day. With me, not as always, but with me always, is my other best friend and, producer extraordinaire and great all-around partner. It's Susan Sprinkle. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm good.
All right. Sound
good.
nervous all of a sudden.
I am a little bit. I've never been an official guest host anywhere.
I mean,
I've kind of popped in here and there, but I'm a background lady.
Background lady, sing this song, dude. Do you know?
No.
Okay.
So yeah, Quentin is still on sabbatical. Hopefully he'll be back soon. But for this week, it's me. Hi.
Background lady, sing this song. Oh, we do that.
Show title, background lady.
It's on the list now.
Yeah.
Well,
So, what have we been up to this week? Let's get into the shit.
boy, quarantining is really like staying inside is really kicking our ass.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I would say that for sure. Yeah.
But it should be coming to an end as you've already sacrificed your body to the vaccine, the first dose,
And it's not a sacrifice. I was willing. I gave it up.
and that government chip that is now in your
Right. Yes. I can channel 5G
Yeah.
now.
Yep.
But yeah, I got my first vaccine dose on Wednesday, and I didn't have any issues, thankfully.
Yeah, and I get to become a Wi-Fi hotspot on Friday. This coming up Friday.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
Yeah, I'm excited when we're both fully vaccinated and
Yeah.
can kind of like meander out into the world again and not be as scared.
great. Yeah. What if
yeah,
what if I took a fake hard left turn all of a sudden? It's like, and then the government's gonna be watching.
Ugh. Bye.
I would. I don't want to attract.
You might need to find a new producer, find a new girlfriend.
Finding a whole new show. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Quentin's like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah. Imagine the people that would attract.
Like everyone left him, but the numbers went way up.
Yeah. Never. Oh man. This man, start your Patreon. We want to give you money for the truth. What the heck? All right. Well.
Oh yeah, I got my first vaccine dose, so that's cool. You're going to get yours on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
This weekend we assembled a bed
Yeah.
and
Well,
wrangled
wait,
a
hold
very
on.
large mattress,
We assembled the frame.
a bed frame.
Bed
Yeah,
frame, not a bed. we well, let me tell you, we single-handedly.
I mean, people know that we didn't
coils.
like cobble a mattress.
Well, maybe they don't know that. Some people think we're hipsters and we
people-
would cobble our own mattress.
Yeah, look at our bespoke,
Yeah, our bespoke-
artisanal mattress.
Yeah, this is from this mattress is from reclaimed material.
But we did sneak in some gaming stuff this week.
Yes.
Even though we did have a lot of other issues going on, which we'll get into afterwards.
Yeah.
But we played part 2 of Frog Detective, which was awesome.
Yeah, we voice acted all the characters.
So there was no Diablo stream on Thursday, but there was a Frog Detective stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love those games. Like, I hope they keep making more. Like, there is going to be a third one because it was
Yep.
leaked at the end of the second one. But
Much-
I
much
just
like-
keep making them.
It's like a whole Marvel universe, really.
Yeah, like it's so good. It just sucks that I do not have any voices. Like all my voices are the same voice, basically.
No, I mean,
Even the character named Susan, I was not confident in my own voice. Like
which is great.
I wasn't sure how I sounded like.
Perfect. This is what we needed. Because otherwise, you had Fraud Detective, which is not.
And you
Not Kermit,
Like
but
I made fun
also-
of you for being in Frog Detective mode for a long time, but since you got out of it, it was hard for you to get back into Frog Detective mode. So I apologize.
Yeah. See, not easy.
Did you play anything else this week besides Frog Detective? We've been kind of busy, so we haven't been.
I mean, I logged
Able
into
to-
Final Fantasy to because Chile ended up being FC leader for a hot minute, and then I got it back. So
Oh, you lost.
I almost
I'm
lost the
deciding
house.
about when I want to go back to Final Fantasy 14 because I'm pretty much done with WoW. Like I still have a little bit of time left, but I don't have a guild. Like there's nothing to do there. Like I'm not really interested in raiding any further than I did.
Well, also, there's no new. I mean, we finished essentially everything. Like, unless we wanted to go back and do like little stuff, but at the
Yeah, I
same
mean, there's
time,
like things I could
you
do, but it's like, do
yeah.
I? Because like I've been like collecting reputations in WoW, so I'm exalted with like a ton of people, and I'm like, do I want to just keep doing this? It's like it's kind of a game that I can play when I'm like doing other shit, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I tended to have WoW up while I was working,
Yeah.
and would kind of just pop over and just do little bullshit things here and there, but I don't know if that's really worth my
Also,
time.
I think part of the problem is that 9.1 is we don't know when it's gonna drop, and I don't think it's gonna drop anytime soon. Rumors were August, so
Well, and it's like, do I care? I don't like if no one else I know or care about is really playing, then I'm not that invested.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's for me. That's with like any game. Like if I don't have people to play with, or I'm not.
I'll go back for 9.1 and see what's going on. But I mean, at this point,
You have a nice time doing that.
yeah. Well,
I might be in Final Fantasy.
It might just be me. So,
One man guild at this point.
yeah, pretty well. It always has been prior to that, though. So,
'Cause, for a while, WoW was my like play during work game. Hopefully, no one I work with ever listens to this. But now my play during work game is Octopath on my Switch.
yep.
And I beat the game. I beat all the main stories. So now I'm just doing side quests, which for me is like I haven't like played a game to completion in such a long time, or even played a game that has an end. Because playing like WoW or Final Fantasy, it never ends.
No, it doesn't. It does never end. That's the honest truth.
But really, I haven't played too much of this week because we've had animal drama. We've had a lot of animal drama.
We have had a lot of animal drama. That's correct.
So you've talked about our pets on the show before, I believe, right?
Yeah, of course. They.
Okay, so
I mean,
well,
I wasn't done talking about what I was gaming. It's like you're just like moving along. You're like, no, you didn't game on anything else. That's it.
well, you did
I did. Liar.
Oh.
Don't lie to people.
secret gaming. Okay, what did you play?
What do you think? I said I was on ESO last night. So.
Oh, what's his name? Dirk Bearstorm.
Dirk, yeah. I have not given ESO a good honest try, and that's partly my fault.
It feels so overwhelming though that it's like
it
I don't...
did until I started giving it an honest try, and I was like, all right, it's not as overwhelming as I was making it, and then as we were making it, it's really not that.
I feel like it was hard to like. What's the main story? Is there a main story to follow?
Yeah, there is a main quest you follow through. Yep. And I learned, but the game doesn't, because the game kind of like lets you loose and you kind of do whatever you want. But there is a main storyline, and we can start any main storyline for any of the expansions. So like when we started Greymore, essentially we're following the Greymore storyline, and we would have followed that through to the end. And the new one comes out at the end of this month, and I started the prequel quest line for that, and I was I was digging the shit out of it. Like it was kind of cool, like solving puzzles and doing like their quest design is fucking top notch. Like they did a great job with their quests.
Well, and plus, like, there's so much voice acting, which is nice.
Yeah, it's all voice acted and it's interesting. And I like Oblivion. Like that was one of my favorite Elder Scrolls games back on 360. So I have a lot of connection with like this expansion, I guess, or this chapter that's coming out. It's interesting. Like they don't really have rating. They have like trials and like their 12-man things. And like I listened to friend of our show, Hyperpixie. I listened to her show, Tales of Tamriel, and learned a little. I listened to her stuff and listened to her show over there and like learned a little bit more about trials and their explanation of it. And they're like, cause she's played Final Fantasy and she knows Avi, so she understands how rating works, at least on the Final Fantasy side.
Yeah, she kind of has seen things through other lenses to know.
And one of her co-hosts,
the differences.
One of her co-hosts was a WoW player and understands WoW rating. So when they
That's
both
cool.
explained how trials work, they're like, yeah, they're not as aggressive in terms of like it wasn't like Castle Denathrius for us in normal, right? There was a lot of like learning mechanics and sticking to those mechanics very specifically, or Final Fantasy is learning the dance and then just getting the dance right. None of that. It's like you get 12 players. It's a little less stressful, but it's still there is a challenge. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I try that. Like that maybe is my speed now and my older age, where I'm just like, that's all I want. I just want to have some fun. I just want to fight a dragon and it's cool that you can.
But do they have like harder difficulty levels
you
too?
can trigger harder difficulty things, and the cool thing is like it's not a detriment. So it's like you don't have to, like, from my understanding, it's like, okay, if you don't kill like these certain enemies, it'll make this one boss harder and you'll get achievements for it, right? And like, but it's not a be all end all. Like, having listened to Hyperpixie explain it, it's like, oh, it's okay though, because once you figure out like kind of like some of the like the tricks, then it's easy. And then I was like, but I'm like, that doesn't sound that difficult compared to like WoW's like mythic dungeons. Oh, like we're doing like a 2 or 3 or 4 key, and I was like, okay, that doesn't sound that difficult. It's like, oh, you got to dodge these dogs, and I was like, okay, that's shit we did in raiding. That's stuff we did here. That's stuff you do in Final Fantasy, but it's not as difficult, and it's only stuff you can choose to trigger. So it's like if you don't want to make the dungeon harder, you don't have to. You can kill like the things and make it easier, or not flip the switch. But there's also puzzle solving in some dungeons, and I'm like, that's dope. And I was like, there's a lot.
Yeah, you're a sucker for a puzzle.
I do, and I love a puzzle. So ESO, I still pay and play Final Fantasy. Like a little known fact, like other than like,
you sneak on in like the darkness of night.
I do.
Like,
I am current. I am literally like like people don't know I am completely current with all the content in Final Fantasy 14, and I would sneak on in the wee hours of the morning, on weekends, but before Susan would wake up. And I would play, because that's really the only time I had to do it. But I would do it, and I would play, and I feel bad because the FC wouldn't really see me, but I was there, and I was playing, and I'm current on all story.
You're a deadbeat dad to all the guilds that you're a leader for.
Well, no, like the other. Let's not talk about World of Warcraft. The other thing about ESO is that you can have 5 guilds. So there is a Maelstrom Radio guild, and it's cool because like like guilds in that game are more for social things. Like they're not. Mm-hmm. I like that system better than any other fucking system. It's
nice that no one has to make like a big commitment to a guild. You can kind of be in a couple different places.
Couple different fucking guilds, yeah, and it's great. Like the only other time I've seen that sort of happen was in EverQuest. And how EverQuest set up some of their stuff. And I was like, you know what? This is smart. Like, because you really want... The whole point of an MMO is so that you're playing with multiple people. So having multiple different types of guilds for people is a great idea. I know Pantheon Rise of the Fallen is probably going to follow something suit like that, where it's like you're going to have like a main guild and then have like clubs or groups that you can join. And I think that's great. That's what I want. So
that's cool.
That's where I'm at. But Chili said, like, because we mentioned 9.1 WoW is probably coming in August. I mean, it does, Chili, but not to the extent that it could. You got FC link shells.
Yeah, because there's the link shells, and then there's that other thing that they created that was lame. I forget what it was called even.
Shit Twitter, and it was shit Twitter. Like, don't give me. It is what it is.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
It has those, Chili, but it doesn't do them well. Like it does. It barely does FCs well. Like I've explained that before. Like and something Quentin and I.
Yeah, it's weird. You have to make a link shell or something if you want to have an officer chat within the FC.
Yeah. So like it does them, but not well. Like it could do better. I listen. There's an old Maelstrom Radio episode on how to improve FCs, and Quentin and I delve real deep. And guess what? They have not done one thing to fix those. Any of the things we suggested. To be fair,
all the games have
Yeah,
they all have flaws and
true.
They all have.
When Quentin and I did this, Final Fantasy as a hardline thing, like when this was
you had a Final Fantasy 14 podcast?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, crazy. It was called I don't know, Choco Beholes .podcast.com. No, and we did a whole single episode about just FCs and how the system's going to be improved. And it was little things they needed to change, like little things. And like one of them was like being able to give someone other than the FC lead access to things. And then like, cause an FC lead doesn't need to have like full control. Like you can give other things, and that worked in EQ too. Like you could have multiple FC leads, right?
Yeah, they could be co-leaders or whatever.
Yeah, and it was so smooth that way, because if you had one person that wasn't around a whole lot, you had other people to really watch it, and it didn't matter, right? And that's kind of like the idea of like how the officers are, and like that's why there are the officers, and like certain people I point things because like I look at them as like just co-leaders. So anyway, but that's what I've been playing, and I'm trying to give ESO a hard chance, and it's going well. I like that. I like it. I like that it's an interesting game, and it's Elder Scrolls, so it's got established. It's made by ZeniMax, so that's where I'm at. But I'll probably, like I said, 5.5 comes out on Tuesday, and I'm definitely gonna go play the story. So you might see me on, I don't know, or not. You might see, I might be in the wee hours again in the darkness. But I am fully geared technically. And then Chili told me today that all my gear will get upgraded for free, so it'll be 520 when I log in on Tuesday or whenever I log in. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So look at me, Mister. Haven't
I'm gonna get back in there. I'm just figuring out when, but probably soon.
I also got to figure out when to get all my retainers because I used to spend like $32 on that damn game.
Jesus, I had one retainer and I felt like that was so wasteful and like, but then it's like I have too much shit. I had all this crafting shit, and it's like, do I get rid of it? But what if I need this thing? I need all these widgets.
You don't need the widgets.
But I need to craft.
They could streamline then remove items and then be like, this is all you need. And then everything else is garbo. Get rid of the garbo.
Well, I guess I'll be able to get rid of all my belts soon.
It's true. Finally.
But yeah, before I go back to...
I think they should have doubled down and got rid of rings too, but that's just me. Anyway.
Well, then no one will know if you're in-game married, though.
Doesn't matter.
But yeah, so I will eventually go back to Final Fantasy 14, but not right now because Peter and I are dealing with some animal drama.
Yeah, this is why I didn't log in this past week in the weird.
Yeah, we've not had a lot of free time this week because we have pets. In the past 2 months, we have adopted both a dog and a cat. We have adopted, not rescued. And right now, yeah.
I feel like we rescued that
dog. We need.
No, we rescued that dog. That's a rescue.
I mean, we didn't save him from anything. Like, he was in the shelter.
Who saves?
Safe.
What? Who's out here like, I'm saving this? Like, nobody. Like, people go to places to rescue animals. What are you talking about? Like, the only people that rescue animals are literally the people that find them in trees and or in water, stuck in holes.
Right,
like
so we did not rescue a pet. We adopted pets.
No. I went out to Muncie, Indiana, suplexed a goddamn semi-truck out of the way of that dog and took him home.
Fine.
And now he's living his best loaf potato life. So
yes, he is a potato loaf faux show. And that is why his name is Poe.
Thank you, Chili. He's like, if you go to a shelter, you rescued him. And he was in a shelter. Probably one of the better shelters, but still, like a shelter.
So yeah, Poe the dog is a loaf. He's doing well. Thank goodness. He has some anxiety issues. He feels very nervous about the space that he's in. He's a little scared to leave the living room. Like, he walked into the kitchen today, and we both were like, "What? You did it! Congratulations!"
Yeah.
So, like, it's kind of good that I don't have to worry when I'm working from home that he's going to go wandering off throughout the house. But it is sad. It's like, you can leave your crate, buddy. You're allowed to walk around.
Yeah.
But
with dogs, it'll take a while, though. Like, it takes them like 3 to 4 months before they feel safe.
Oh, we adopted Paul.
Jeez. Paul would not feel nervous to go into a kitchen.
Yeah, he's like, hey,
what's cooking?
Got any sandwiches? Yeah. What kind of snacks you got?
But
Poe the dog is good, but we're having some issues with our cat, Finn.
It's true.
Finn is, he's 8 months old, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And when we adopted him 2 months ago, he had some nasal issues. He's stuffy. Like, I think Peter told the story on the show that when we first went to the shelter to meet him, first thing he did was sneeze out a giant booger and then ate it.
Yeah.
So that was how we met him.
And that's how I took him home.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a very sweet boy.
He is.
But I mean, the shelter kind of made it seem like the fact that he had a stuffy nose wasn't really a big deal, and it'd be something that would clear up over time. But over the past few days, he's stuffy, but then has a fever. He hasn't been eating. We had to take him to the vet on Wednesday, or Thursday rather, and it's just been a real ordeal.
Yeah.
I've never had to force feed a cat before. This is very traumatizing. Like it's really been like an emotional cyclone in this household.
Yeah, he hasn't he like all day Saturday he didn't touch his food at all, and which is worrisome.
And he
'cause
hadn't
he's
really
on
eaten much the day before and the day before that.
he's on antibiotics and he's supposed to be eating, and they gave us an appetite stimulant, and that didn't
Which
stimulate
did
anything.
not, yeah, no.
So,
Unfortunately not.
we went to. I did a lot of research. We went to a PetSmart, and we bought. They suggested food that might be a little like have a stronger scent just to get him, and he's clogged up. So I'm thinking like just like how a human would be if we're clogged up, he might not taste or smell anything, so he might not be like, oh, it's just like bland, whatever. I don't want to eat this.
So Paul is the dog and Chili is the cat because Chili has no sense of smell.
Accurate. So like I had to like dip my finger in like some of the food that we bought that was different from his normal food, and like kind of put my finger to like the side of his mouth so they would start licking it. And eventually he did eat that day. Not a whole lot, but he ate, which was better than most of the day. And then today I did the same thing. He ate a little bit. I noticed that he was more into licking like the broth or whatever that the food, the chunks of food come in. So I opened up another thing that had like more broth based, and then he's been kind of drinking the broth, and which is I'm okay with. Like as long as he's getting something in his system that has nutrients, I'm okay with. Like I prefer they would eat the chunks, but I'm okay with him just lapping up broth. So tomorrow,
In addition to Finn not really eating, he has also not really been cleaning himself.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And today, like this morning, I'm in bed and Finn comes in the bedroom and like lays on me and we cuddle and we're like, man, Finn, you smell. You're very stinky. But whatever. He's sick. It's okay. He's my cat. I understand. And then hours later in the day, I don't know how I noticed it, but we've been like fussing around with him and like just checking his nose and checking his parts, making sure he's okay or whatever. And I look at his tail and I realize that he has a large glob of shit attached to his nubbed. He doesn't have a full tail. He has a stubby curled
nub.
Curly nub.
Yeah.
And on the underside of his nub was a giant blob of shit. So part of today was me frantically grabbing kitten wipes and wiping this cat's ass and tail. So yeah.
So if you came to this podcast for video game talk, boy,
yeah, I know this isn't video game talk. This is more of a venting session for us because we've had some struggles. We've had a lot of shit struggles this weekend, specifically. I know Peter mentioned that we went to PetSmart on Saturday to get some stuff for Finn.
Yeah,
and
which I will be going back to tomorrow and getting him, which I found little soups. So
yes, little soups for Finn.
For Finn, which is like a soup-based meal for cats, and it's like mostly liquid. And I'm like, good, perfect. That's what he needs. And
it's also
soups.
Peter's new rap name.
Yeah. So
show title: Little
Soups. Lil LIL soups.
So we went to PetSmart and we just thought, hey, let's bring Poe the dog with us to PetSmart because
let me set
it's
this
nice
up.
to take him out.
So
okay.
I'm going to give everybody the pre-information about our dog. All right, we got him from a rescue shelter. And his diet there wasn't great. Like they were just giving him like whatever they had, which is fine. Like they're feeding him, so we're not upset. But
Yeah, a lot of shelters like just get donated things, so they're always eating just a mix of whatever they have on hand.
So we decide, hey, we're gonna get him. He's a little heavier than he probably should be. He's a smaller dog, but he's 30 pounds, and for his size, he's probably needs to be around 20 pounds, somewhere there. So he needs to lose a little bit of weight. And so we were like, all right, we'll get Nutrish, which is Rachel Ray food, but it's like balanced for health and everything like that. So it's perfect. It's a more natural brand of food. So we got him that.
So we've been integrating the new food with the old food that he was eating at the shelter. You kind of slowly mix it in so they get used to it, and then they just eat the good food going forward.
So there's no accidents. So we go to PetSmart and we walk in, and he's a good boy the whole way on the ride there. He's very calm. He gets out.
He's very good around other people. He's very good around other dogs. Like we haven't heard him bark yet. He's not aggressive in any way.
Yeah.
He's a very sweet boy.
Yeah. So we get there, and a young, I would say, boxer, like a boxer puppy, walks up to Poe and gives him a good sniff, and Poe sniffs the boxer puppy, and the boxer puppy has a little tinkle accident out of, I'm sure excitement of meeting our dog, because he's he's like the highest energy potato ever. And I'm being, not truthful. The dog
he's very low energy.
He's the lowest energy dog, which is fine. Like he just wants belly rubs and food. So he
met the dog, and the dog immediately piddles. Which confused all of us, really, including Poe. Still selling me on Paul.
Yeah. So we were like, but we were there for the purpose of not only stuff for our cat, but also some stuff for him, because he needed a new harness. The harness we got that came with him was, I guess it was okay. It wasn't great. Like
free.
It was free. But I wanted to buy him something nicer that was easier to clip on and had a handle. So if we needed to pick him up, it's a little easier to pick him up.
So we're walking around. We meet the dog that takes a little tinkle when she meets Poe. We back away, take a turn into the harness aisle.
Yeah, and we're walking down there, and I'm like starting to look.
So I have Poe's leash. I am holding Poe. Uh-huh. He is on the left-hand side of me.
Okay.
And I am looking at leashes, I'm looking at harnesses, I'm looking at the left and right sides of me. I'm looking at the stuff in the aisles. I am not looking at the aisle itself.
Okay. We both walk into this aisle, right? And there's no other dogs on this aisle. This aisle's clear. So we walk down, we're like looking at things, and all of a sudden Susan starts smelling something. I smell it too. But
Susan and I look at each other at the same time and do the sniff thing, and looking at each other like, is that you? Is that you? Like, we smell a smell.
Yeah. And so I look down at Poe.
Hey guys, somebody making soup?
And that's what Poe said. He looked at me in his eyes. That's what Poe's eyes. Poe looks at me with his weird dog eyes, and it just is like,
hey guys, somebody making soup?
And we turn around behind us, and there's a giant wet pile of dog poop. And
I do not think that this pile came out of this dog. I think that pile was there, and we just didn't notice it when we walked down the aisle. It was a long aisle. Poe was on the side of me. He could not go all the way to the other side of me, take a big shit. He is a small dog. It takes him a minute to just squeeze out like a little nugget. This was like a coiled, wet snake of poop. It was big.
I think that our dog was like nutrished himself.
I do not think so. I do not think my dog took a shit in a PetSmart.
I think he did.
I'm standing by this stance.
No, I think he did. I think he let loose and then walked on your side and looked up to me like, hey,
Hey guys, somebody making soup?
That's what he did.
I don't think it was his shit. I think it was another dog that just was there before us.
how did we not see that down the white floored hallway? Like, I could understand if it was like a brown floor and we just.
I wasn't looking at the aisle. I don't think it was our dog.
It was aisle 4, Chili. Exactly aisle 4.
And so I look at Peter. He looks at me. We look at Poe. We realize there's a pile of shit on the aisle, and we do what good people do.
I look at Susan. I look at Susan and say, "Split up."
we flee. We go to. We leave the aisle and do not acknowledge the large pile of shit that was there that may or may not be from our dog, but I don't think it was from our dog.
Even if it was or wasn't, we didn't clean it up. We weren't intending to clean it up. If it was the problem is if we knew it was him, we would have cleaned it up. We just didn't want to like clean somebody else's dog poop up.
I really don't think it was from Poe. I don't think so.
And but we were still in the store, so by the time we left, somebody had already cleaned it up. And I swear, if I go back, because I have to go back to that store tomorrow to pick up some this like nutrient-rich paste for our cat, so he gets some calories. I have a feeling someone at that store is going to pull me to the side and be like, "Sir, you're no longer welcome here." That's what I feel is going to happen.
Tape. I don't think it was Poe that did it.
If they give me a copy of that tape, if they say I'm no longer welcome here and give me a copy of that tape, I will bring it home. We'll both watch it. Because if they're telling me I'm not welcome there and they give me a copy and our dog's dropping hot dots on the ground.
It was not a hot dot. It was a giant coil. I don't think it could have came out of our dog.
It could have. It absolutely could have. It could have. If he's had bad tummy, he could have done that.
I mean, if he was that like horrified by the previous dog peeing in his presence,
maybe. We don't know his trauma.
Dog poop discard watch party. Yes. If we get the tape and it is found that our dog is shitting in an aisle, we will share that with everyone.
Yeah, everyone gets that watch. Don't worry, that'll be uploaded right to our YouTube channel.
It'll be our most popular YouTube video. Yeah. It will far surpass the Mione response video.
Yep. I'll put like a weird clickbait thing, $1,000 backyard makeover. I'll share that shit. Thanks, Chili. Appreciate it.
He will literally share that shit.
Well, that wasn't. So all in all, it's been a rough week with our pets. Not so much Poe, but more so Finn. So hopefully next week we have better news about our cat and he's in better health by then. So it's hard because we love him and he's a good kid and. You don't want to see anything bad happen to him, so.
We don't want to make this whole episode about our animal drama. The original plan for this episode was that I'm going to interview Peter. Peter has hosted this show for almost 5 years, and I don't think he's had I don't think he's had anyone interview. Have you?
What about us? Or
like, has anyone come on the show and gave you the business?
No. No, I usually give people the business. And I usually go on other shows and barely talk about myself. I just talk about the show and Quentin. So
that's true. Yeah, so I wanted the Maelstrom Radio audience to get to know you a little better. And I figured that deflects me having to really do much on the show except ask you questions.
Sure.
So it's a win-win.
Yay.
So let's get into it.
Hey guys, somebody making soup?
Anyways, so tell me about your first positive gaming memory.
It'd have to go back to when I was younger. I was a wee boy, and my uncles always had gaming consoles around, from ColecoVisions to Ataris to Commodore 64s. They had them all, and my uncles were a big part of my life and still are. Like they check up on me and text me, and the reasons why I play guitar and I even enjoy video games, it's because of them. And so a lot of my upbringing and understanding like what I liked with gaming was because of them. And so with that, my first positive game memory is probably just watching like my uncles play just video games. Like I didn't really know until when I started getting older. Like,
Do you remember a game in particular that they played that you remember watching?
I remember like watching my uncle play the Ghostbusters, I believe Commodore 64 game, which was on the big old floppy disk. And like you drove the Ecto one and like shot ghosts that were coming down the road, and like had the boop bip, Ghostbusters theme song. And
Never owned one of those computers that would do, use a floppy disk, but I do remember using those computers in elementary school.
And
I'm old.
It was mostly my Hispanic family that was like really surrounded themselves with gaming, like from time to time. Like even my abuelo, my grandfather on my dad's side, was like loved boxing games. And like I remember when Resident Evil 1 came out, the very first one, like my uncle had a PlayStation and he bought it day one and brought it home. We all watched Resident Evil get played on their like big screen, which was like when big screens were first out, like not thin, like the big old box with the giant
the big ginormous ones.
Yeah. And we were all watching, like all of us, I mean like the whole family was watching like Resident Evil get played, and be like the zombies were all like shuffling and crap. Like, so, like I remember Ghostbusters, but like just constant like positive gaming memories. And like I didn't have a great home life, so gaming was the positive in a lot of that. So
is that something that kept you in video games? Is because your upbringing was kind of shitty?
Yeah, I think that was when I was going through therapy a lot 2 years ago, the big hook with a lot of it was how video games affected or were used as an escape and to not deal with my issues. And you would think that I would, like after it, I found a healthy way of balancing dealing with my issues on a personal level and still using video games as a way of expressing myself, both as a creator of content, via podcasting and streaming, but also, finding ways to still incorporate mental health. Like, and that's one of the reasons why we took a break for a year. And, most shows wouldn't come back after a year of silence, right? Like most don't. And the fact that we both said, hey,
like a bad penny, Maelstrom Radio just keeps coming back.
Yeah. But we strived for mental health. And, once both hosts were on board with that, we still wanted to come back.
No, it says a lot about a show that like takes a break, but doesn't use that as just an excuse to end it. Like you took a break and you came back.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
Yep. And we tried, and I think we came back better, and like our new motto for this year is expect the worst and stay average. I think is working well so far.
We're killing it.
Yeah, we're owning it this year.
What drew you to podcasting in the first place?
Well, I was listening to World of Warcraft podcasts when I was playing WoW, and a voice that we heard on this 2 episodes ago, Fen from the Vent Chat podcast, did an episode about why you should get into podcasting and why you should do it, and I remember that episode. And I wanted to so bad to do a podcast about video games, right? And I didn't know in what form, in what way, but I really liked MMOs, and I always kept putting it off because I didn't think I could do it until Evercast rolled around, and I saw a Reddit post on the EverQuest Next thing saying, "Hey, we're looking for hosts for a podcast about EverQuest Next."
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, sure. If you need a host, I'll do it." not knowing what I was going to get into, and I knew this was like just a chance, like somebody would say yes, and I ended up meeting my old co-host Tanlin and Chuina, and
I was like, are you going to remember his name?
yeah, and Kay, Tanlin's wife, and it was a good experience. Like we grew fairly quickly because the game, like we started podcasting about a game that was still in development. So, and this is Twitch's early days. This is right when Justin TV was still a thing and Twitch was still a thing. Like that's how early this was. And so we said, hey, we were trying to figure out, like, do we just record it? Do we want to do video? And I said, I was the one that suggested, hey, why don't we just start using Twitch? We could do a live show on Twitch, and we'll corner that market early on. And I said, it's probably a smart idea. And I had my own channel then, and it went well. Like we were getting early times.
Before you had a podcast, you were streaming yourself playing games on Twitch?
I had it, and I did it very sparingly. I think as the podcast, as EverCast went on, I did it more. And I did it a lot. And like I did it to the watch parties, and this is not tooting my horn or anything like that. It was just early days, and I don't know if I could pull those numbers now. But I was getting 30, 40, 50. I remember at one point 80 people watching me to sit there and just talk, right? And I was a blabbermouth. I still am. And it's something I still like. It's always on the back of my mind, like, what if I just fired up my own channel again, and just to see like what would happen.
I mean, you still have followers on that account, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, by the time Maelstrom Radio came out, I focused more on Maelstrom Radio, and it's hard, and I still think it's true. I think it's hard to grow something like Maelstrom Radio to be viewable to a party, because it looks like we're a brand, right? Like that, and essentially we are, right? We're a show, we're a brand, and people don't want to connect to a brand; they want to connect to a person. And I think that's why my single person show did well and had a lot of people watching, because I was talking about my relationships and who I was as a person, and I didn't hold back. I didn't feel like I needed to hold back, and I did a lot of like long talks with people. I invited people, and I met a lot of people that way. Like Tobrin, even though from the Ever cast community, is how I met him. We would cross promote each other. Like I would go on his show and while he was streaming, and vice versa. And we would just sit there and chat, and I would talk about, like I said, my exes and my dating life, and for good or bad. I don't know if I would talk about them the same way nowadays, but
yeah, like you even tell me about that stuff.
Yeah. And I talked a lot about like. I like I said, I talked a lot about gaming and why I was passionate about it, and I think I'm trying to find ways to bring that back into Maelstrom Radio, and like how do I feel nervous. Like it's weird that the person that would blab about it years ago after mental health feels nervous talking about that stuff now, and I don't know why that is.
Well, I mean, on Maelstrom Radio, there was that short stint of Here With Me episodes, but the one Here With Me episode that never came out was the one that was about you.
Yeah. I Here With
Do you think you ever want to release that or re-record it?
I would re-record it. I would be honest. I would re-record it.
Is it that you thought your episode was? See, I've never heard this episode. Like I know it exists, but I've never heard it. Do you think it was like too dark or too?
I think it's too dark and maybe too emotional. Like I think too much emotion came out of me, even though I try to keep it emotion free for the most part. I think
well, it's supposed to be about mental health and emotions and well-being.
I just don't think I was coming out clear enough. Like I think there was parts where I zoned out because I let my emotions take over. Like I listen back to it. I'm like, it's as a listen personally, like if I was going to listen to it as a show, I don't think it's clear. Like, does that make sense? Like, I don't think there's like sections where it's like not fully thought out. And I would want to record it for that reason, where I don't want to be disingenuous to what I said. I think what I said was powerful, and I think it should. And that was the point of the show, is listening to people who, went through therapy and sat, and it's a show that I would bring back, right? And I don't know in what form and how I would do it. I
Would
thought
that be
about,
something you would pursue on a solo
I
like
would,
channel kind of
I
thing? Like
don't,
release it as its own separate thing as a
I
Flatus
don't,
production and not a Maelstrom Radio production?
I don't know. I don't, and that's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I would do it solo. I don't know if we did a Maelstrom Radio Patreon, if I do that as a Patreon thing, where I would do like an extra show and it was here with me, the mental health side of gaming. But I'm proud of it. Like it's one of the,
Yeah,
it's
I
one
mean,
of,
they really were like interesting interviews, and like you talk to people that you don't even really talk to on the regular show.
yeah. And it's in people we have, and like seeing the other side of those people, like Wanderer, who does, the oh man, I'm gonna forget. No, without looking at, like, I'm gonna have to go look at Discord and go, and I apologize to Wanderer, and I'm sure someone's gonna like yell it at me before I even like find it.
Yeah, look in chat. Chili's already got it.
Yeah, thank you, Chili. A Stage Reborn. Oh my God, because I know him as Steve now, right? Like, and that's how like that show ended. That show ended with him and I even talking, I think, like another 2 hours after the mics went off, just talking. And at the end of it, like, we realized, like, hey, that was very therapeutic, and I never really talked about, why he's like, to hear somebody why they started a Stage Reborn, but from the mental health aspect of it was so deep, and like deeper, I think, than anything he's ever interviewed before, even with us, right? Or even with any other Final Fantasy podcast, because it wasn't a Final Fantasy show. It was just a show about mental health and how it affected his life, and how he dealt with that with being a lawyer. And and I talked to a lot of different people. A lot of them came from the Final Fantasy community at the time, but not all of it was Final Fantasy related. I spoke to Sayre from Phoenix Down Radio, and he discussed his therapy. And everybody was very thoughtful. I talked to Paul, and Paul's was, very polarizing, because Paul admitted, like, it's hard to take medication, like, and those are things that people can relate to, right? Like, not all of us are good mentally, and I think here,
Yeah, not all of us are getting the therapy that we need or
and the
should
point of the
get.
show was really hearing all aspects of, yeah, you should go get the help, even though I'm not following the help I was suggested and getting to 100%, it still helped, right?
And to anyone listening, if you go to maelstromradio.com or go to our Anchor page, all the Here With Me episodes are there. You got to scroll back a little bit, but they're there, and they're all really good.
So I would bring it back. I just don't know in what form. Like I said, if I would do a Patreon, it would be a monthly, because it's very emotionally tolling. Like, not just on the person,
Yeah,
giving
true.
it, me as well. Like, having to sit there and hear that stuff. Not that it's bad. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just takes a lot out. Like, and I would do. There was one day I did 3 shows in a row, and after that I was done all weekend. Like, I couldn't, like, and it was very, very hard to listen to. And again, I don't mean this in a bad way, right? Like, I don't mean it like, it was just, it's draining, but also in a good way. Like, I felt,
Yeah.
like I got these people to open up in the same sense. it's a lot to take in, and I think that's what a lot of it is. Since those episodes, I've had people come to me and say, is there a way you can make those separate from your feed? I want to show people, and I think they were really good. It's something I've been asked about since I've done them, to bring them back. And I want to, I want to do it right. Like not to say I didn't do it right the first time. I can do it better.
Yeah.
Just how to do it is
Do you have any ideas for like other new podcast ventures? I know right now, we got Maelstrom Radio. There's also Sound Bites.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the WoW Nightcap is no longer, but
Well, it's on
maybe
deep hiatus. It's on a deep
yeah, it's a deep hiatus.
Deep hiatus until I if it's gonna come back, and like in towns here, in chat, if it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back in a different format. I don't think we're gonna do live on Twitch.
Yeah.
We'll record it and we'll just drop it, and then but when it comes back, maybe we'll just get something to feed one day. You just won't see it happen. But
well, yeah, the podcast version of the show was doing better than the Twitch numbers showed anyway. So
yeah, and town's super busy right now, and everything happened at once. Like we had COVID, and Texas froze over, and it was a lot. There was a lot, and
there was a lot of things all happening.
Yeah, and to be honest, there's a lot of WoW podcasters right now that are now taking breaks because there is no content to really talk about. So
well, and that's the thing about when you have a show about one thing. I mean, that's why you guys don't do a Final Fantasy podcast anymore, because
I know we've even bumped up to weekly again. So like that says a lot about. Our content, and
for better or for worse. Yeah. we're every week.
Now you're
whether
getting
we're
more.
Fully prepared for it or not.
Now you're getting more.
But do you have any other podcast ideas? Whether
I
something with another person or like a solo project?
All right, so then the next thing I would do would be solo, and solo in the sense like it would be no other voices. It would ultimately be solo, and I have a name in mind. I would just be recorded. There would be no live element to it. And I'd almost do it in the guise of, I don't want to ruin it. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to ruin it.
All right. But you do have ideas.
I have it, but it's very, like, I will say this. It's the one thing I would do where it follows the otherworldly and sometimes the dark and mysterious sides of the internet. So
creepypasta?
No, because there's people that do that. There's
podcasts that do everything.
Because the one thing that's why I don't want to ruin it, because there's an aspect of podcasts that don't do this. And I will say that it's interesting that this doesn't exist in podcast form. It does exist on YouTube, and there's a lot of channels that do it. But there's nothing, and I've searched a lot. Like I've searched specific things. I've even searched specific things that the YouTubers talk about, like Reddit, certain entries that they've discussed and stuff like that. I tried to look for it. Nothing comes up. I've searched like things that like even just show up in like, cause you do that on Stitcher. You can search for like episodes, and you can search for like a topic within an episode as long as it's in their notes. So, I mean, it could be out there. I've not found it. Like I've done everything I could to find it, to see if it's someone's.
But there's definitely no popular version of the podcast idea that you have.
No. And it, some ordinary gamer stuff. No, Chili. No. I know that guy's work. No, this is very much darker and spookier and what I like, what I'm about. Like I kind of and like I would do it so much so that it would have like eerie music being played, and it would be work. There would be some extra work on this one just because I want it to be creepy. Like I want it to be very, very eerie and creepy. And after each episode, I want people to be like, ooh, like, ooh, like I want everybody to have goose pimples after each episode. Like I really think that there's a market for that, and nobody's tapped into it yet. And it's weird that it's tapped into on YouTube and no one's tapped into it in podcast form, because you don't necessarily need the visual aspect, because a lot of the visual aspect for the YouTubers are just taking chunks of word and posting it on the screen to eerie music. So I can do the reading. So, and if I was going to have guests, I would just have them voice act parts of certain stories, and they're not creepypastas. So like it's just weird, internet mystery things and stuff of the such, but specific kinds. And sometimes it is paranormal and sometimes it's not. So it's just,
Are there other creative mediums besides podcasts that you're interested in exploring in the future?
I mean, I play guitar for fun. I would never. I was band. I was in a band, and I was in bands in school. So, music for me is just fun. Like, I don't think I would. Like, streaming would be the only other thing, right? Like at the end of the day, like I enjoy this. I enjoy interaction. So
like firing up your solo channel, maybe under Flatus, or maybe a new
name. Yeah, maybe. Again, like
get
I said,
a VTuber persona.
I always think it's harder to grow Maelstrom Radio as like the main thing I stream, because it's like I said, I don't know if people connect to brands the same way they connect to
individuals,
and it's the downside, right? It's always the downside of like it's kind of like you don't why like Mr. Happy has the Mr. Happy channel, but then records the podcast on his channel, like because he knows
rather than give it its own
own thing. Yeah, it's easier. He's gonna get the views that way, and it makes sense. Like people are there to see Mr. Happy, not the podcast. People show up because Mr. Happy's there. And
yeah, I go there for the podcast, but
you don't
not as interested in the solo streams. But I like the podcast.
People are there for the solo streams. So what
are your goals for Maelstrom Radio then? In any capacity, like just whatever comes to mind.
Would I like to see? I mean, I think we're growing slowly. I think before we were on Anchor, we were not, and I think once we moved to Anchor, we got to more podcasting places we weren't on, and I think
it helps that we are more consistent.
That as well. And I mean, right? Like the thing we're trying this year is try to incorporate gameplay into our podcast, and like instead of like a let's play, it's like a let's play and chat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're trying all different things.
Again, something that we are pioneering in the space where not a lot of people have done it or tried it. So much so that it's something that we started pioneering, that Kami Jace, a friend of our show, had tweeted out like a couple weeks ago. He's like, man, I would be really interested in like interviewing people while playing a game. I was like, we're doing that now already.
And we're trying. We're easing into it. Like your episode with Zubei, that was the first time that we had like someone besides you and Quentin playing with a different person.
And I think it went well, right? At the end of the day, it went well. And Zubei really enjoyed that episode and would love to.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't have the formula like figured out yet, but it's fun trying. Like it's fun to see what works and what doesn't work. Like we've learned that 5D chess it actually kind of worked because it didn't work so horribly.
we got almost like and like not to talk about our number, like 35 people liked that like that podcast.
Like more people like that episode for whatever reason. Just I don't know, people just like to see Quentin in discomfort.
It almost seems that way. Like, it really does seem that, like, if there's some sort of discomfort for him, and I think that the reason why I think people liked that one, I think it's because there was an overall arcing hilarity to it in like a weird.
Because it's a game that Quentin had never even looked at before, and all of a sudden he's in multiple dimensions of time and space. I mean, luckily you both know how to play actual regular chess.
It was very like an avant-garde humor situation. Like it was like I couldn't tell you why it was funny, but it was really funny. Like sort of that situation. Like, and having listened to the podcast because I edit the show, having listened to the podcast version of it, it was pretty funny because
the audio only version of the show is absurd.
It's so out there and outlandish that it became hilarity. Like it was like, and it seemed that we planned it that way. It's like having known that we didn't plan it that way, it seemed like we did, and it almost seemed scripted. But you couldn't script that game. Like there's no way you could have scripted the game. So
no.
it was that kind of like oddity, like we can never play the game again, but it happened once and it's its own thing, its own little nugget of our history of this podcast, and it can never happen again. Could we stream the game? Yes. Could we stream the game and record a podcast? And no. And I don't think it would ever, like Quentin couldn't handle doing that game again. So
no. So if you had your way completely, if myself and Quentin were just completely agreeable to whatever you wanted to do, what would Maelstrom Radio be?
I would push us, right? Like I would want to say, can we achieve partner status, right? Even for my like I would like us to be more popular than we are, but not like for the sake of popularity, but like how do we get more eyes on us? Like, how do we, because what we're doing is good.
Good question.
Like, no, and seriously, like what we're doing is good. I'm proud about what we do. And I don't say that enough, I think, to either of you. I am proud about what we do here. Like, and I need to get better.
We're doing good work here. We are telling the world about our dog not shitting in a PetSmart.
Like don't.
Hey guys, somebody making soup?
And sometimes there's reality to things. But the non-podcast part of it, like I need to get better and more comfortable with just talking again. And not just talking about the game, just talking and getting people used to just having a conversation, I think here. It's something I was good at. I am good at. I know I can be better at here. Because what we do here is a lot of fun for us. And, you know, we have...
That should be the most important thing.
Yes.
In my opinion, I always think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like if the hosts of the channel or the podcast or whatever aren't having a good time, then nothing else matters.
Yeah. And... like when I got to interview Fen, that was I like that episode, even though like, you know, I didn't think Fen would come on this show, but when he said yes, I knew it was like, all right, we're going to be fine. Like we're both blabbermouths. We got like 2 hours out of the show. So
yeah. And then Fen could have talked for hours.
Oh yeah.
More.
We could have done a 4-hour show easy. Like that would have been a 4-hour episode. And like all of it would have been primo talk. Like, and it could have separated it out into had 4 episodes in like a 4-week hiatus. Nobody would have noticed.
Man, we could have had it off tonight.
Yeah. And I would have played that up in the like second half of that episode. Right? But you know, I think as we start to grow, right, and like how to, you know, pushing more game streams out there, like I said, I really want to lock in a schedule for myself. I don't want, and again, I don't want to speak for Quentin, but Quentin's always welcome to stream more here when he has time. But at least if I
would love more Quentin solo streams.
I think
like,
a lot of people
in
would.
my opinion, like when there's a podcasting partnership or Twitch channel partnership, I think it's good for each of the people involved to like have equal showing. And I mean, scheduling wise, that's probably not possible, but like it's good to see both personalities.
Yeah, and there's things I'll play that he will not, and there's things he'll play which I won't play. Like he played the first tree, and I don't think I would play that.
Well, and there's even games that the two of you play individually that you play totally different. Like how Quentin plays Hades is like totally different
From how
how
I
you've
play Hades,
been going
yeah,
through it.
yeah, and he even says that he's like, I don't play that way at all. Like, and like, there's games where he would not play, but is interested in like the medium, right? Like he's the one that suggested I play that, and I did, and it's a
And that was one of the few times that you played a game and Quentin was there and just kind of like hung out in the back seat, which I liked. Like it was
Yeah.
good to have his perspective there.
and it was a great game. I want more of that game. So, and we're both fans of Diablo, so that's easy peasy for us to play together. It's finding those like little things.
We definitely need to get Quentin in on the next Frog Detective. Like he needs to be there.
I
we
agree.
we will wait for him for the next one.
I agree. I'm also waiting for the settings, the graphical settings on the next one to see what song it shows up. So,
Which like dance song of the 90s will be represented.
can't wait. I love it every time. Every time. I don't know. Like there's things, we're coming up on our anniversary in June.
Yeah, 5 years.
5 years of doing this. So,
Episode 152 will be recorded on the exact 5-year anniversary of your first episode,
yeah.
June 6th.
So, and
So pretty soon.
yeah, and this is the longest thing I've done. So,
Really?
yeah. Maelstrom Radio outbeats Evercast, and Evercast evolved into Loot Table, and I still have like all the artwork and the rights to Loot Table. I think I still somewhere have access to that Twitter, which has like
There was how many Loot Table episodes were there? Like 3?
no, there was a few more than that. I don't know if they're online anymore, but they're out there. I know the Twitter blue, like our Twitter is still out there. Let's see, Loot Table.
It's a good name for a show.
Yeah. It was great. Let's see, we had 900
Gladys is sitting on a lot of names of things, a lot of
word.
like inert.
Yeah, I mean,
A lot of inert intellectual property just hanging out,
yeah, we
waiting to
did.
be fired up.
Woo. I mean, for reals though, like Loot Table had like 930 followers on and a lot of people, and I would say like a lot of the famous people that are following Pantheon.com, like Bazgrim and stuff like that, the people that are making content, were followers of Evercast and Loot Table. And that's where Quentin and I met.
So was Loot Table a game or a show about just gaming in general?
Yeah. Which eventually evolved. Maelstrom would evolve. Maelstrom, and I think how we handled Loot Table is not how we're handling Maelstrom, right? Like I think Maelstrom's handling it better. Not to say that what we did was wrong. I just don't. I think we were early podcasting, right? We took the same format we did for Evercast, which worked for Evercast, did not necessarily work for Loot Table.
I don't think I've listened to a Loot Table, so I don't.
I mean, it's where I met Lucy and and Tanlin was there and Kay was there. It was just a 4-person show. Because at the time we ended Evercast, Chewina left, and so it was just 4 of us doing the show. And it was just fun. Like we just talked to gaming, and it was Sunday nights, and it was fun. Like it was fun to talk gaming, and like we were all over the place with like how we handled gaming, and I think we did a whole episode dedicated to The Sims, and like 3 of the 4 hosts were drunk that episode. So it's like
When's the last time there's been a drunk Maelstrom Radio episode?
Oh boy, hot minute, maybe
Yeah,
maybe 5 year, and because we do it Sunday nights now. That's the problem. Like I don't want.
yeah, it's a school night.
Like if I knew that I was gonna have off on a Monday, we could probably make it happen. But it's
Well,
it's.
I mean, you got time to request off June 7th and make the 5-year anniversary episode a big to do.
I mean, gotta get Quentin on board with taking off June 7th. Yeah, maybe we'll discuss like our plans for around that time. So it's
TBD.
my journey through podcasting has been a strange and weird one. I don't think I went about it the right way, but I somehow still ended up here. And you know, I've upgraded my equipment and I've had better mics and better recording software, and you know, I am doing shows that I feel passionate about and having fun with. You know, sound bites is something that I just do for fun, right? Like it's just 15 minutes of eating snacks with a friend and discussing.
Yeah, I mean,
snacks.
it's really just an excuse to like eat snacks with chili.
Yeah,
And if
like,
anyone listens, it's a bonus. But at the end of the day,
but
you know.
really, the secret of that episode, and I don't know if people noticed, but my favorite part of the episode is learning. It should be called learning something new about chili. The show.
Yeah.
So, and that's really what, like, every episode since the first episode has been learning something new about chili every episode. And that's the secret podcast within that podcast. And
Sound Bites is secretly an ARG of like learning about chili.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Like, and it's great. Like you're learning about them, like the most interesting person that is like that.
It doesn't think they're interesting at all.
Yes, that's exactly it. But it's a snack podcast. So
Bite-sized podcast about all things snacks.
and this show has always been like discussing, because Quentin, you know, is a developer, not a developer of gaming, but a developer, and has insight on development skills, right? And I've played a lot of MMOs, and I studied game design, and I studied game design for fun. Like, I was so interested in game design. I've watched 2-hour talks from the creators of SWOTOR about MMOs and like why MMOs changed from like strong multiplayer aspects in them and needing groups to single player aspects. And you know, I like to talk about that a lot. That's why MMOs interest me a lot, because I feel like MMOs have lost a lot of the reasons they make themselves massively multiplayer. And I like to see games that are trying to bring that back, like Pantheon. ESO, I find, has that. There's a lot of solo aspect in ESO. You can play just solo through the quests and you'll be fine. But it has stronger ties to grouping in some aspects. But Pantheon is like the first foray that I see into bringing that working together as a group back. And I just like game design in period. I think like Mario is classic, and there's a great book like, you know, how Mario created the wheel. Like we watched, you and I watched that video that Jesse Cox put out
Jesse
recently.
Cox has a new series of videos where he's going into like education
game,
about
game design,
video game
essentially.
topics and stuff. Yeah.
It's about like game design, but not like thinking outside of like the box about it, right? And like that's what I like. And like that's why I like discussing things about gaming and choices. Like I am very passionate about, you know, what we do here, and passionate about gaming. Like I'm keeping up to, like I so much so that I look at the business side of things too, and like I don't necessarily like Jim Ryan from PlayStation because he's a numbers person that scares me. Bobby Kotick from Activision Blizzard is a numbers person. We see how that affects Blizzard. We see how that's going to affect Sony now, because when you have people in the industry that just look at the numbers and not the creativity side of things, that's great. You're going to make money. And I understand you have a business to run and you need to make money, but when you start to kill off creativity, that kills gaming, and that's not fun. Like gaming was always supposed to be a medium of art and expressing that art through interactivity. And there's a lot of beautiful art pieces out there, right? There's a lot of games that are truly beautiful, and Journey is one of those games. I can point to Journey and say that's a beautiful game, and you know, there are games where, you know, having beat them, you can get emotional because of the stories they tell, and you know, and I think that if we start to focus up on money and taking away the creativity and just rehashing out content because they're big sellers, you start to lose that creative force behind gaming, and you lose a lot of games out there. Like there's a lot of games that I don't think will ever come back in any form or fashion, because the money became the goal for the company, not the creation of the art piece, and that sucks.
So if you could have any job in the gaming industry, like Matrix style, like the credentials or whatever would be just like blasted into your brain, so you wouldn't have to worry about like not being qualified. What job would you want?
I already worked gaming retail, so I was already in the gaming industry according to whatever form and fashion of it. I don't know. I would almost say this, right? Like I would use this platform and stuff like that to just interestingly, like just to talk about it, right? Open up, because I think, and I say this and I mean this.
You just want to be paid to have a podcast about video games?
Not just a podcast. Like I would still play games and discuss them with people. Like I don't want to be a developer, right? Like I don't want to, like, I think devs are overworked, and I mean that like coming from a person that does thinks that they shouldn't be overworked. I think creativity would be, like, if I could just say, like, I want someone to make such and such game, that would be great. I don't think that job exists. Like producers, I guess, exist. So, but I would, if I had to be something, I think I would be a producer. Like if I had to pick a game like that was actually just legitimately the industry, a producer, because I could tell a team, like, hey, you should fix these things, then this is what would make the game better, right? Just based on things I studied and read and learned and listened to and watched, and you know, I teach myself those things because I like those things, and you know, it's how I learned in school, it's how I learn outside of school. It's like I watch and I learn and I do, and like I study, like there's things in game design that are really cool. Like take Breath of the Wild, right? A Legend of Zelda game. There is an aspect, part of the game where you're on a raft and you see arrows pointing up, arrows hitting these like wood archways. Like there's like just old arrows in there, and it's, the game is telling you, hey, you could shoot arrows at these, right? And if you do, you unlock a secret. But you don't, the game doesn't tell you to shoot arrows there. It just shows you there's old arrows at the center, near the center area of these arches. So you do it and you unlock a secret. And that's great game design. And that's how games used to play back on
You
the
love a
NES.
secret. You love a puzzle. You love a
But
secret.
that's how
game.
but that's how games work. They didn't give you a tutorial, right? Like the first Legend of Zelda didn't have a guide. You just were dropped in a world and you kind of had to just figure it out. And I think that's great. And I think that's missing nowadays. I think that games, that's why when, even though we had a guide for Dark Souls didn't tell us what to do, right? It said, this is how you swing your sword. This is how you block. And that's it, right? And like, this is how you use your magic. But that was it. So, you know, that's what I would do. If not, it would be on this side discussing games. And like, and Chili said in chat, community team stream, like, yeah, a little bit, like kind of like that. Like I would like.
Or is just Chili saying that's what he wants? That's his ideal job.
Oh, community team streamer. All right, you can do that. Everybody do that. Everybody get that job. So, anyway, that's where I'm at. I have a lot of opinions about the industry, and I have a lot of opinions about.
You have a lot of opinions.
Well, no,
period.
but I do, and I have a lot. Like I think the industry, like there's a lot of people with a lot of heart, doing a lot of great things out there, and we should pay attention to those people, right? We should pay attention to what those people are doing, and play those games, support them. Even if we don't play those games, support them. Like share their games, you know. And I'm older now, right? I'm an elder millennial, as you like to call me, Susan.
Yes.
And I think
you
if
are an
there's
elder millennial.
if there's one thing I could tell people, like if there's one thing I could tell my audience and the people on Twitter mostly, is that don't build up over amounts of hype, right? Like, and don't ride your emotions into gaming. Gaming is supposed to be fun. It's a passion we all share, and share it with people. Like, just be positive about it. You know, people.
My motto is that it's just a dumb game.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, it's all it is. It's just a dumb game. Share your passion, but don't share your anger. Don't share your malice. You know, developers are people. It's like, that's it. Like,
And don't share stories about how your ex is shitty.
Yeah,
But that's a whole other episode.
Oh boy, Ugh, that's, I don't know if I do that episode.
Well, if you had a woman with you on the show, it might go a little smoother.
Well, men could have bad relationships. I did, but I'm not going on Twitter and fucking writing out a twit longer that said this is my story. Like, I'm not doing that. So
This is a whole other episode. We're getting close to the end of the show, so let's wrap it up before we get canceled.
Oh boy. It's okay. Twitter tried canceling water already, so it's fine.
No.
Yeah, they did.
Cancel water. How will I stay hydrated?
Yeah, they said water is bad for you because it extracts the minerals from your body.
Oy vey.
Anyway, thank you for the interview.
I tried my best.
Yeah, it was,
Maybe someday there'll be like a solo episode with me and Quentin, and I could like ask him questions too.
I mean, I could set that up. I could turn everything on and walk away. I don't have to be here.
All of a sudden, the flattest solo channel goes live.
Taking like streaming,
Playing hooky from the podcast,
like live streaming that and like critiquing it live. Well, this is what they should have done here.
The most meta
Yeah.
episode of Maelstrom Radio, where you'll like release your version of it in a different feed.
Yeah, and then like I still have the soundboard on my side though, so I'm just like, yeah, they should have done this. So, yeah, my reaction channel to my channel,
Right?
Reacting to my stuff.
Reaction to the
Live
reaction.
reacting to my own reactions of my reactions to reacting. Anyway, thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Hour and a half interview with me, and I don't know if we learned anything.
Well, I mean, we filled the time.
That's the most important. That we filled the time.
Yeah, I'm sure Quentin will be happy about that.
Yeah, overfilled.
We didn't go too long.
Good news. We didn't go too long, and we didn't learn anything. So, right as rain, really. I learned about the sound bites ARG. Chili, I'm telling you, like that's it. Anyway, for our listeners at home, I hope you found this interesting. It really was Susan's idea. And it's not, don't be mad. I don't talk about myself.
We like to try different shit here. We like to try different formats. We like to try different ways of doing the show, just to, throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
I don't talk about myself. I'll talk about video games, but I don't talk about me a whole lot. So that's probably one of the reasons why that Here With Me episode didn't come out. Much better than the 4D chess. That's 5D chess.
5D. There's another D.
There's
Chili.
a whole. You forget, Chili. That was all. There's also
so many Ds.
Time travels. It's alternate reality. That's the other problem, is that we had multiple timelines. So that's why the 5th D came in. Anyway,
It was too much. Too many Ds.
Show title.
Show title.
too many Ds. not even. A lot of D's down in the show titles thing. Anyway, thank you, Susan. I appreciate the questions, and I hope you got to learn more about me. I hope that I can follow through and deliver some things for people. I think that
We don't know when Quentin will be back. Hopefully, it'll be soon. So, but we can't say for sure if he'll be on the next one or not. Unfortunately,
yeah. So you might get interview part 2. So
or just somebody else as a guest host, or
That-
something else completely random.
somebody new interviews me. Somebody else just keeps new people interview me every week.
Every week till Quentin comes back, a different person interviews
Interviews me.
Flatus.
Yeah. New questions every week talking to me.
Yes. No, same questions
Actually-
over and over again, just from different people.
Yeah, jot that down as another solo project is like the reverse interview. Like people just come in and interview me. Like I host the show, but people interview me every time.
Oh, I think what's her face? Lauren Lapkus did a show like that actually,
Damn it,
where she'd have on a guest, but they would interview her.
son of a. See,
I'm telling you, everything's been done before.
not telling you. The one thing I have has not been done. I've searched high and
Chili
low.
can't wait for his turn to interview you with the same questions.
All right, well, jeez. Please, new questions. We don't want to hear the same answers. So anyway,
So
thank you.
join us on Thursday,
Yeah,
April 15th, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for maybe Diablo, maybe something else.
game
TBD.
game will be played.
Yes.
Maybe more ESO. Dirk needs to finish some quests, and
Dirk Bear Storm.
I like Dirk Bearstar. I wish I had a couple of friends to play that game with because I like that it's free to play for other people, and they can come join me and do Dirk things. So
But not out there.
no, yeah,
Looking for friends.
looking for friends. Help.
Show title: Looking for Friends. Anywho, thank you everyone in Twitch that joined us live and people listening to the podcast. I hope this wasn't awful.
Yeah. Well, Chili, you'll get a free upgrade for PS5. It looks pretty. Anyway, thank you, everybody. If you like what you heard today, you want to hear more about my video game opinions, you're welcome to come here live, and I will discuss gaming with you.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitch. Join our Discord. Like, subscribe, share, follow, throw us
Yeah.
some bits. All the things.
Yeah, join us on Discord and share your frog.
We have
Frog
vet
check.
bills to pay for.
Yeah, we have frog check, weekly frog check on our Discord.
That's true.
We will discuss both why you are a baby and an aunt, like AUNT aunt, at the same time. So you have to join our Discord to find out why that is. So
And we will eventually have another community game night.
yes,
I can't say when, but it will happen.
I mean the new Among Us map is out, so there's.
Oh,
that.
thank you, Chili. Chili
Aw.
gave us 500 bits.
Oh, thanks, Chili.
It's very sweet.
I'm gonna use that 500 bits and go buy my cat nutritious
Little soups.
little soups and food paste. Nutritional high density food paste.
Our cat needs calories. He's very small.
Our cat needs future food, which is just like caloric paste. We feed your cat caloric dense paste. Comes out of a tube right in his mouth. Chicken flavor. Yeah, it's like toothpaste for them. It's like nom nom nom. It's right in his mouth.
Anyways, thank you for joining us, everyone.
Bye. What? Want to throw food paste on the high caloric?
Oh
food
no,
paste?
more bits
Oh,
for
no.
cat gains.
Cat Gates, please. Impossible show title, please.
All right, this is devolving into madness. Have a good week, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Join Maelstrom Radio live Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for our podcast and game streams at twitch.tv/Maelstrom Radio. Our back catalog of podcast episodes are available at maelstromradio.com. You can email us at show@maelstromradio.com. You can tweet us at maelstrom_radio. Join our Discord at maelstromradio.com/Discord. Also look for Maelstrom Radio on Facebook and Instagram. Maelstrom Radio is brought to you by maelstromradio.com and Blackfire Media. Produced by Flatus, Shinter, and Susan Sprinkle. Logo and artwork by Mary K. Larkins at themarylark.com. Show music provided by MDK. Check them out at mdkofficial.bandcamp.com. Views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests do not reflect the views and opinions of any companies discussed on today's show. Thank you for listening to Maelstrom Radio.